All right. We are live. So we'll just hello. We're just waiting for Jen. She's gonna be popping on here shortly. But we don't have anybody viewers right now. I don't think no, I don't have any viewers. There she is.
Hit me.
There she is. There you are.
Hi.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Long day today.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. How was it already September? I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
I can't with that. I just can't.
No, I agree. It's kind of nuts. It just, I mean, I don't know. August was like long. Like I feel like it was longer than I expected, but it also still went really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got a lot of shit done, so I know it was long, but I also was like, oh wow, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like it doesn't really change anything about life. You know, once you like work from home or you do whatever, you don't have kids, like your life doesn't matter by like school schedule or by whatever.
Sometimes you forget what day it is.
Right. Like it literally doesn't. But like all the people in my life around me, it matters. So then it kind of matters to you. Like I've been meeting up with my friends during the week and like stuff like that. And now you can't anymore because now she's teaching little gremlins and all that good stuff. So
gotta love the little gremlins. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's really funny because like I'll go to buy a planner and I have to buy the ones that are set for school periods. So from August to July, because it works better for her stuff. So I have to buy a planner in the middle of the year for all of her stuff. So I'm like, this is annoying.
Yeah. I was always just so used to that after school. Like you're just used to buying them then.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, now I do my own planner for stuff. So it was weird to switch to being like, oh, wait, it's January. That makes sense that you're starting it in January.
Yeah. But makes sense to go with a regular planner now.
Yeah. I mean, I also have fill in the blank planner. So like it didn't matter when I started it. But when you're doing all your January goals and everything, why wouldn't I start with a new one?
Yeah, I like the adult planners like fuck this.
No.
Bills. I love those. They're my favorite. Huh?
I said I have that calendar hanging on my wall.
Yes.
Pretty sure today's or September says no fucking way.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like I can't believe that it's already September. That's insane.
Yeah.
And I'm nowhere near completing my goal of 100 and like something $45. Not even fucking close. I haven't even broken 100 yet.
I think you had a lot of stuff like come up this year though that you weren't expecting. Like you read a lot. Like I actually, when I figured mine out, I hit my goal by 2 books this month. So I was like, oh wow, that happened.
Nice.
But like
I had a lot of weird stuff come up, but I'm coming out of it now, so that's a plus. So and it's getting to be nicer weather, so I can go back outside and read, and it's not like fucking Satan's asshole here anymore.
God, it's so nice today.
Oh my God, it was bad. Fucking 90 degrees.
We have a heat wave this weekend, so I like did a lot of my shopping today, and I don't plan to like go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. We have such a big weekend planned. Oh, it's awful. But let's get into it. So, my little banners up. I'm not going to talk about expectations because we don't really ever.
We're not really anymore.
Yeah. So basically, just what worked in. I guess what do you think first of the books, and then what do you think worked? At least the ones that we completed.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't mind the first one. I think that it took way too long to get set up. But if we're starting with what worked, I thought it was a really good like setup for a suspense novel. Mm-hmm. Not maybe the best for a romance novel, but it was a good setup for a suspense novel. I thought I don't know, it felt kind of like a realistic situation for a stalker in Pursuit. At least to me it did. And actually, obviously being a lover of dark romance, I've read a lot of twisted ones where you like want her and the stalker to be together. But this one was actually like, what would that be like if your life is controlled by this person, and there's no way to get to them. Like, you have no idea who it is. You have no way to stop this, and even if you have police who want to help you, like, they can't, like, they literally can't. And so yeah, I thought that it worked for the suspense elements of it. I liked the heroine because I was a bit annoyed with her to start with, but I thought the book really was a good example of, like, I mean, she was a carefree college kid. She didn't have to worry about anything. She shouldn't have had to worry about anything. And to see, like, what she has to go through, and then to see who she is later on, about how paranoid she has to be and what she's feeling, I thought it was a good representation of it. And I really felt for her. Like, I kind of was, rolling my eyes a little bit at her at the beginning. And it's like, but I think we were supposed to be. Because again, she was a college student. She was just living her life, and she didn't do anything wrong. Like, that's always the thing. Like, as being someone who's a true crime lover, like, you don't have to have done anything wrong. You can be doing everything right. And if someone else has fucked up ideas, there's nothing you can do. Like, she didn't do a single thing wrong. So yeah, that's the stuff that worked with that one. And, like, you'll notice it didn't really have to do with the romance, but I thought that was a well-written book, at least I'll say. And yeah, I didn't have any problems with the tenses, and I didn't have any problems with how the story really went. I thought that was good.
Yeah. That's me. What do you think, Becky? This is the one that you read.
Didn't
Pursued?
Yeah.
No, I didn't read Pursued. I DNF'd it.
Oh, you didn't after that one.
Yeah.
I don't like stalkers.
Yeah. I didn't like stalkers.
I am at 70% of it, and I'm kind of it's the pace for suspense is fine, but I agree that the romance is like, okay.
Yeah, let's stick with what worked, because I definitely have what didn't work. I was trying to be really positive.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, I'm like, okay, the suspense for the pace of the suspense is good. I agree with the realistic idea, and I like the fact that it's over a large amount of time. So it's like her last year of college, and then 4 years, something like that in between. And the only thing I wish we would have seen more instances for the level of terror that she has.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no idea what it's like to be stalked. Absolutely no fucking idea. Right. So I don't know exactly how the right way to act would be in that situation. But I feel like the amount of terror that she has and, like, the anxiety that she has would warrant more action, because they were talking about, like, escalation. I could see where the escalation part comes in, because he's, like, tapped her webcam, which, not gonna lie, kind of creeps me out. But that's always creeped me out about webcams.
Yeah, he knows things that she's purchased.
Yeah, so it's like
anywhere. Yeah,
and, like, searching the friends. So I like the suspense part of it, but the pacing sense is great. Pacing the romance is way too slow, and I'm at 70%.
Do you have an idea of who it is?
I think it's the guy who said she had a nice ass in college, because there was no reason to talk about that guy at all.
Okay.
Like, that was the only thing because I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, first I thought it was the rowdy guy, and then I'm like, no, that's the obvious. That's the obvious scenario, which if it is the obvious one, I'm pissed. But then I was like, there was that one guy at the very beginning that said she had a nice ass, then called her a bitch, and she called him out on some shit. And I'm like, we haven't heard hide nor hair from that guy ever since. So what was the point of telling me that story? Except giving me a character so that maybe she's a fighter and says something, but she doesn't say anything for a long time until it gets to the point where it's like, I can't hide this anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so what was the point of that? Like, that's what's kind of going through my head right now. And I don't know, it could be some really out of left field that it's the friggin' detective himself, or the stage guy that helped build sets. It's someone she's come across with. I have a feeling it's someone we've met.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's that. But my gut is telling me it's the guy that we have not heard anything of since, or no real justification for having that scenario in the beginning of the book at all. That's my gut.
Again, I don't want to spoil it for you. So, but again, I come back to, like, the suspense part of this is what worked the most for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually impressed by who it was.
Really?
Because I didn't guess it, And I think there could have been one or two more hints about who this is. But when it was revealed to me who it was, I immediately knew like which point she was using to like, it's this person. I do think, yeah, I think there could have been more breadcrumbs to us because it's along the lines of you being like, oh, well, we saw this person one time and this person one time, and there's someone else we also only talked to one time. But the interaction with that person when we find out who it is was like, oh, yep, that's who it is. It tracks. So yeah, again, the suspense element of this, like, it worked for me, but I agree with you, like, this is where I think her balance of it being a romance, like, we should just probably move into what like didn't work because
I agree.
Because I don't have more to say about what worked.
Yeah, I don't either.
What work is the balance between the romance and the suspense. Because number one, we didn't even meet the hero until page like 80.
Yeah, like
We didn't even have his POV until page 80.
Yeah, like 30% of the book, I think, is what it was.
Yeah.
Because I thought the POV, I thought the male interest was really going to be the stagehand. Because we were like, okay, this is the dude. Cool. No.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. It's some random cop that appears out of fucking nowhere. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I did.
Well,
I
and
Raven met him.
You did.
Oh, yeah. Well,
sure. Get that
Well, and I was starting to get real. This is like, I was getting really annoyed with this one because I was like, you are spending, and I knew this one was longer. And I said in my review, like, I understand why this one was like the longest one we've read so far, because the first 30%, we don't even know who he is. Now, the other part that doesn't work, and I actually read this in someone else's review, and I was like, oh, yeah. We don't get to see much about him at all. Like, we find out, like, because he is undercover with like a biker gang, I think is what it is for like a few years. Is it a biker gang? I think it is. It's some kind of gang work that he goes undercover with, which I thought was so cool. Like, for real. I thought,
and you see none of it.
Cool. No, we see none of it. We hear him getting the call to be asked to do it, and then, you know, it all kind of, he's trying to get out of that now and transition into something else, and we see him again. So we missed all the interesting parts of both of their lives. And here's the thing then that like really ticked me off, right? Oh, you're not done yet. I can't tell you that. Never mind.
It's okay. It's all right. You're fine. I'm finishing it tonight, so you're fine.
Yeah. Well, this doesn't have to do with who the person is, but something that happens for the wrap up of this is a bunch of rapid time jumps, which I fucking hate. Like, so after we wrap up with who that is, there's a bunch of these like time jumps of them like not being together because they both need to like decompress after it. So there's like 2 months later, 3 months later, a year, like all these little jumps.
Oh, it's annoying.
And I'm like, you already wasted enough fucking time in this story. And then before we get to an HEA with them, there was all these like jumps with it. So then I was like, oh my gosh. So
I agree, because we don't like, that's what something I was noticing is, okay, we go through the college years and then we meet this one cop. We meet the cop, right? And I think, okay, it's just some random cop. So actually, when I first met the cop, I was like, oh, he comes out of the shadow. How do you know it was a man? I'm like, oh, it's you. Like, that was immediately my thought. I was like, oh, it's you. And then turns out that he's the love interest. I was like, oh, never mind. But there is a twist for that. I don't know. It could happen. I've read stalking books where the stalker is literally the one helping her the entire time.
Right.
Creepy. You know, I get it. But when we get his call to do the undercover thing, I was like, oh, okay, so we got her story, and now we're going to get his story. That's what I thought she was going to do. And then it immediately jumps to him in Star Ridge going through this emotional turmoil after 3 years being undercover, and you only see one instance of him, his opening night end to it, the opening night, and nothing happens. And then we're told about this Vargas guy, and I'm like, are we ever going to fucking see what happened? Like, why are you pursued by demons? Because I don't see... I understand you were an undercover, and that's very strenuous, and psychologically, I get it, but we don't see any of it. Just like we don't see any of the emails or the calls or any of the stocky stuff that happened those 3 years. We're just told about it. And like, that's stuff that you need to build that, to kind of build that connection.
Yeah. My immediate thought when we jump to the 3 years, and I say this about 80% of books that do time jump stuff, because there's very rarely that it works for me. I would always like you to start with the furthermost time if you can, start with the furthermost time of the story and then sprinkle in a few flashbacks if you need to, or do the exposition. Like, it's fine. I much rather would have maybe had the prologue of like her graduation night or something, and we really see something happen there, and then jump ahead and her being like this terrorized person and being like, now I'm basically alone because I don't want anyone involved and stuff. And we see all that aspects. And then then we can jump to these points where the more escalated things are happening.
Mm-hmm.
Because then, like in any story, especially a romance, sorry, not any story, in a romance, you need to get the people on page as soon as possible and keep them on the page together as much as possible.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Third of the book where that's not there at all. It doesn't mean they always have to be in scenes together in every one, but to not even have his POV until page fucking 80 was messed up. Like, even if we were showing his POV of what's going on with him when he gets called in, like we should have been in his POV like when that happened. So to me, that then just already had me set up of just like, oh my God, you took so much time to get to this point. The suspense element was okay, but I wasn't here for the suspense. This is the ABCs of love. It's supposed to be the romance, and you didn't even get there until 30% in. So for me, a lot of the issues I have should have started with them reconnecting, and she could be like, oh, why do I recognize him? And it could be like she has a flashback of the night when this all really escalated and she remembers his officer. That would have been a much more gripping place to start the story. Then they're already in the same place and we can have these flashbacks to what they were doing. And honestly, then the book could have been 100 pages shorter and all of the action of this could have been packed in to right there. So and that's me how it should have been fixed.
No, I get it. Because with the way she's doing the time jumps, I feel like I'm losing things because they're so sporadic. Because like I just read the scene after the storm, and all of a sudden he like jumps back to his sister. I'm like, what? Yeah. The fuck's his sister got to do with anything? Yeah, because it's not explained. It's just like these random blips, and I'm like, are you gonna clear these up? Because you're not making much sense. And
but like, this is why time jump stories are tough, and also people don't know how to utilize a flashback, because that's the thing too. That's why I say flashbacks aren't always good, because then if you do stuff like that, I'm like, what does that have to do with the romance? It's the romance. Why are you showing a flashback of this person? How does it point back around to this romance? Because this wasn't a suspense novel, it was a romance novel. So what were you doing, right? Anyway.
Yeah. Romantic suspense, not suspenseful romance.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I'm excited. I like the way it's written. I do, and I will be finishing it. So I'm not too worried about that. But
you definitely have to message me when you know who did it. Definitely, because again, I wanted to talk about that and see what you thought, but I understand. So
that's okay. I mean, I don't mind spoilers. I don't care about spoilers. That's fine. If you want to talk about it,
I won't tell you that one. I'm not going to tell you that one.
You're not going to tell me that one. Okay.
I won't tell you that one. All but because it was the funniest part of the whole damn book is finding out who it was. So I don't want to spoil.
Is it Morgan's fiance?
No.
Damn it. No. Is it a male?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that narrows down.
Guess who, Jackie? Jesus.
Yeah.
No, hey, I love the game Clue and Guess Who.
Like I said, I was shocked who it was. The hints are there who it is, but like I was still shocked. And then I was like, okay. So that was for me the best part of it, because again, she really was playing the suspense. She just kind of So yeah, I don't even know if you get to read a love scene yet. I don't think maybe you have.
I got the interrupted kiss scene.
Okay.
And I'm at 70%. So I'm already like, I need some kind of physical connection, and you just killed the one bit of physical connection I was about to have at 70%. So that's already like, you've already lost points with me that you're waiting this long.
Yeah.
To even get them to like
30% of the book wasn't even anything.
Yeah, it wasn't even him.
This is why it was a mistake. That's why it was a mistake to start it there. And so many authors do. They get this great idea of like, oh, I want to show this. And I was like, no, you should have started with her showing up there, this terrified, frightened woman, meeting the guy who and then she's like, oh, he's giving me flashbacks of that night. Like, dude, all the raw material is here, but she needed an editor who told her that, of like, you are making people snooze for this first, we're waiting for it, because that's what it said. The blurb too even says that she goes to this town to escape it. And we spent 100 pages getting to the point where she does that.
Yeah.
That's where this book just like fell apart. So I gave this one a 3.5 star. And I stick by that because at this point too, I kind of compare these with each other. Right. You know, and I was looking at what I've rated other books. And so it's not my favorite one we've done, but I did still like it better than a lot of other ones. Definitely better than the next one. So I had given this one a 3.5, but I rated it a 3 on everything. Cause I was like, it doesn't get a 4, but like,
yeah,
when it like all played out, I was like, well, this felt more like romantic suspense, but I maybe would read the author again. Like, I don't know. I maybe would read this author again if I see what else she had, because again, it was very readable. And that's so
I thought it flowed really nice. I've been engaged with it. Like, it's not something that, like, it's not something that I'm reading that I'm like, I'm zoning everything out. I can put it down and talk to somebody and then come right back to it. It's not like the suspense is not that good where I'm like, no, fuck off. I need to know what's going on. Like, it's not that strength, but it's strong enough that it's going to keep me going and kind of keep me entertained for a while and kill some time. So based off what I read, I would read her again for sure. But I might not pick her up for a romance.
Right.
So, might for the suspensey part.
Yeah.
Not quite sure. Oh, my other thing, and I can't talk about this. Okay, so I understand it is fiction. I get that it is fiction. But really, you're going to send a woman, 25 years old, who's lived in basically her own personal hell for the last 3 years to a town where she knows nobody.
Yeah.
Absolutely nobody, with no type of communication whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because your sister happens to live there.
Yeah.
And they were in Seattle and you sent her to Idaho. The what? No. That was a little far-fetched for me. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, I kind of got it in the sense of like, well, no, I thought it like kind of works with the fact of like they have no idea who the stalker is or how they're so intrigued. So it's like, let's take you away from everyone so nobody knows. And then, you know, if someone finds out, that could be like the person. So that part of it.
I get the idea behind it, but it's just kind of like the mental state that you're putting this girl in on top of it. Like, that's like, you weren't like, I understand sometimes you have to do things that are difficult to get out of difficult situations. I do understand that concept, but the level that we were given, that this woman's anxiety and mental distress, that she couldn't leave, she literally could never be alone. Somebody had to know where she was at all times, which seems kind of backwards at the same time too. That somebody always knew where she was at and she was being stalked. So it was like, kind of like, maybe that wasn't the best idea in the world, but it was just like, that's difficult for somebody who has connection. You're moving her temporarily to a whole state where she doesn't know anybody. It's not like you're moving into another town over. You're moving a couple states over and she knows nobody. Like, that level of anxiety on top of it is just ridiculous. And then you send this cop who, all intents and purposes, good, decent guy, seems like, you know, he's just going there to get some clarity and stuff like that. But then you call him and say, hey, I know you're going through your own things after being undercover for 3 years, but I need you to watch this chick. What? Like, you don't have to interact with her, but just watch her. You literally just asked him to spy on her without interacting with her.
Yeah.
Like, that was just kind of like, what? Okay. That didn't really make logical sense to me. But then again, I'm not in law enforcement and I have never been stalked. So I don't actually know what would be the proper scenario for that.
Yeah.
But like, no form of communication. None. Her family didn't even know where she went. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what do we get?
A little far-fetched.
Don't use logic.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, I feel like it wasn't official anyway, because they have no case at all. Like there's
Yeah.
people who, like the dude has compassion for her. That's why he suggests it, because he's like this poor girl. Like he feels so horrible, but they have no case. Like there's nothing they can do until, like, it really is one of those scenarios. That's the thing that's so scary about stalking, is that they really can't do anything until you're in like physical danger in most states. Like there's some states where you can prove like stalking and that's enough, but then like the person's usually staying away from them anyway, you know? So it's like, oh, you have a restraining order against the person. Well, they're a stalker. They're already breaking the rules. How does a restraining order help you? Because that's all they have until and they don't even have that because they don't know who it is.
Yeah.
So you can't even get a restraining order against somebody because they don't even know who it is. So anyway, yeah.
It was definitely, it's definitely a unique one. But it's not a like unique where it's like, oh my god, this is so unique, I have to talk about it. But it's just like, it's cool.
Yeah.
So what did you think of Quintessentially the One by Althea Roberts? Becky, you read this one, so let you lead off because we both got things to say. Me and Jen too.
I'm going to tell you what didn't work and what worked for me all at the same time. So I hate secret baby tropes all the way around because I think they're immature. I think they're disrespectful. I think they're immature. Did I already say that? I think they're immature.
Yep. Girl.
And this girl had no fucking reason to keep his child a secret from him, because there's one instance when I can imagine being okay with a woman keeping a baby from the father, and that's if he's like an abusive pedophile. Like, keep it away, you know? But this man, nothing. He was like a dream dude.
Yeah.
So she had no reason to, and on top of that, his own grandmother was willing to keep it a secret. He supposedly loved this boy, right? And she was keeping it a secret. And I just could not wrap my mind around that. Yep. So those were my two big problems with this book. And I originally, like, when I finished it, I thought, oh, I'm going to give this 4 stars because I did like a lot of stuff about it. But the more like it stewed, the angrier I got.
We messaged the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you were kind of nice to it. Okay.
Yeah. Because I did like it. Like, it wasn't the worst 3-star thing I've ever read. I liked him. He was like the saving grace of this book.
Sure.
I liked that he took responsibility. As soon as he found out, he was like, holy shit, this is my kid. I want to be there. I want to be part of her life. I liked his little moments with his daughter, of him like sitting on a stool at the cafe and talking to her and getting to know her and taking her to school. I thought those were very cute. I liked that she had like community support for being like a single mom.
Yeah.
I didn't love that they all supported her in hiding it.
Yeah.
But I liked that she had that support and they weren't like all making her feel like she was like a whore or something. Her family was very supportive. I liked that. I liked that it was a friends to lovers. That's my favorite trope. So anytime I can get that, I like that. And I like that once he found out about it, he didn't make it like this big dramatic overreaction to it. He tried to understand her. He's a much better person than I could ever be.
He sounds like
I liked that he once he found out, he was like, oh, okay, this is why you did it. Well, now I'm here and I want to be this dad. So I liked their chemistry too. I thought they had decent chemistry and I thought they were very sweet, but her just keeping it a secret was what brought it down to a 3-star for me.
Yeah.
Because I hate that trope.
Yeah. I am not done with this one, but I am about 50% of the way through, and I'm not going to DNF it, but I already know she can't save herself. She can't. Yeah. She lost all redeeming grace with me when she gave her reasonings for not telling him that the child existed, and it was bullshit. Mm-hmm. It was bullshit. It's like he told me he loved me.
It. Yeah. Exactly there. I was like, bye, bitch. Goodbye. Yeah. You are the villain of this book.
Yep. Yeah. I was like, there's no redeeming grace. I'm like, you said that you Didn't want to tell him because he said, I love you, and then never called you back. Well, bitch, you never contacted him either. So
Yeah, she even said, like, oh, I tried. She didn't try.
He wrote letters that never mailed.
She said she wrote letters that she never mailed, and she wrote texts that she never sent. It's like, how the fuck is that trying?
Yeah, I learned
is
from
not
his
trying.
grandmother, like, what he's exceeding in, and I learned that he had never had chosen to have a life here in this town. I'm like, because he didn't have a fucking reason. If you would have told him, hey, I have a kid, maybe he would not have made said fucking choices. But you took that choice away from him because
and that's his choice
fucking
to make.
No, you want to be a victim. That's being a victim to me, and that's bullshit. Like, no.
No, I just finished my Patreon vlog for the week, and I was ranting because I literally, since the beginning of this readathon #1, I was excited for this author because I have read this author before. I've read 2 of her books before, which were actually dark romances. So I was like, oh, this is gonna be a small town. I was nervous about Secret Baby, but I was like, sometimes Secret Baby can work. Like, I've had some of my favorite books have been Secret Babies. It just depends on the reasoning. And so I was like, let's see what her reason is. And then she opens her fucking mouth and says her reasons. And I was like, this is like the only case for me where I'm like, that I have no forgiveness. Like, there's not a single trace of a reason. He's not a bad dude. You're friends with his grandma. And what was wrong with his parents? You not only kept it from him, you kept it from his parents because his parents are business focused and wanted him to be in the business. His parents aren't bad people. You like turn the town against him because they're all like, why wasn't he here for his kid? Because he didn't fucking know. And so when I got to that point, like literally I'm listening to this while I'm doing some work, and I'm like, okay, this isn't looking good. This isn't looking good. What is her reason? And then he's coming to town, and she's being all like, he can't be here. And I'm like, why can't he be here? And she says her reason, and I like stop. I was like, stop the audiobook. Went to Goodreads to look up, which the Goodreads for this is just full of people licking this author's ass. Okay, they got their tongue so far up her ass in the reviews for this book. I do not even care. Because they're just like the stupidest stuff in some of the reviews, not all of the reviews. There's people trying to be fair to it, and in all fairness, I believe that the hero would be a rock star. Okay, I fully believe that, and I knew that if I kept reading, I would like him. And it's literally why I stopped, because I was like, the same as Jackie. Like, there's no way she saves herself. There's no way you make her likable. There's no way that this works for me. I want him to sue for custody of this kid and fuck them all and get out of town. Because you don't deserve it when you've kept him from this wonderful man. This wonderful man who's just going to get over it. And that's what everyone was saying in the reviews, is they're like, I like that the hero didn't make a big deal. And I'm like, well, he sounds like
he didn't. And that was just another thing, that he's a good person and didn't deserve this bullshit.
But he deserved to make a big deal about it. That's the thing. Like,
she needed to fucking grovel on her stomach for doing that to him. I just see, I'm sweating under my tits right now.
It's like, and even if he was like a deadbeat dude who who wanted to just support his child like monetarily.
Yeah.
Bitch, let him.
Well,
if he is man enough to fuck you, he is man enough to fucking take care of that kid.
Yeah.
I love the fact that she's so pissed off that he said, I love you, and never called her back. I'm like, I'm sorry.
He was like 17 or 19 or something.
That's the reason you're so heartbroken, because he said, I love you, and never called you back. What?
Yeah.
I don't know any woman who's ever been told I love you by somebody and it wasn't meant to them. Like, it was just words to say. Like, I know so many people that, is it right? No. But is there a reason to hide a fucking kid?
Yeah.
No, it's not. Well, that's vindictive.
They were fuck buddies. They were friends with benefits whenever he came to town. And this time it resulted in a kid, and you are friends with his grandmother.
And she knew. And she didn't even tell him.
I hate that grandmother. The grandmother is the secret villain of this.
I don't understand why the grandma didn't.
Like, I'm just thinking of either of my grandmas. There's no way that the baby mama of one of my like cousins' kids, that she would be more on that person's side, especially because her grandson's such a good guy. It's not like he's a member. I'm sorry. It's not like he's a member of the mafia or he did drugs. He's an Ivy League baller. Okay. He's amazing. And you just couldn't tell your grandson, like, hey, you should come home to visit. Because that's the other thing that is unbelievable to me, is that he never came back to visit just normally. You know, like, he never came back to visit.
He was so close with his grandparents.
Right. Like, you didn't come back for Christmas or Thanksgiving or any of the times to be in town when you used to come back all the time. That seemed weird. And yeah, it could have been like he's hurting so much after his grandpa died that he couldn't. So you just abandon your grandma. We went to see my grandma even more after my grandpa died. We were there all the time. Like, it just didn't make a lick of damn sense. And so, like, and this is why, like, I do not to too, because like I get this heated by it, because number one, like, when it's in a small town, like, contemporary scenario, this offends me more than if it's in any other situation. If it's a mafia, if it's dark, if it's a prep school, whatever, because this literally happens to people, and it has happened in my life. So that's why I literally get triggered, is that one of my loved ones had a fucking booty call lie about a baby until the baby had been adopted by someone else, and he never got the chance to know her until she just got married last year is when he got to meet her. Well, the baby mama, the mother who adopted her out, which, I mean, the girl probably still would have went up for adoption. They had an open adoption, and she got to know the girl her entire life. And both my, this is my, like, cousin, this woman is my cousin. Her grandmother died and her great grandmother died before she ever meet them, because that cunt kept it a secret until the baby was born and she was adopted by someone else. So see, this gets me really heated. It gets me really heated because my cousin, he was a fuck boy, but he was a good boy. He was a good 22-year-old man, and he deserved to know about his kid before she was given to someone else.
Yeah.
So this stuff is my trigger. This is my trigger more than any dark shit or anything, because it's real. It's real. And then women want to be like, I'm a single mom. It's so sad. I'm like, in this case, you directly made yourself a single mom.
Yes, you are a victim. And I can't stand when you, like, when I say this, like, when you make yourself a victim, and there was a book I DNF'd because she purposely put herself in a situation to be victimized. She got off of me, and it wasn't like a BDSM sort of thing where she liked, the cat and mouse thing where you're like, oh, don't hurt me. Like, not like that. She got literally off on putting herself in dangerous situations. Yeah. And she chose to do it instead of choosing the best option. And I'm sorry.
Isn't it victim blaming if you chose to be a victim?
Exactly. It's not. Yeah. There's no...
What I couldn't believe is for her living in this small town, she didn't have like any sort of like adversary. Like, she didn't have like a jealous popular girl friend or something that was like,
that was missing.
It was like gonna go and tell him, hey, she has a kid. She didn't have anybody like that who hated her enough or even disliked her on a level where they were like, hey, dude, you might have a kid over here. Like, everybody loved her.
So here's how they could have fixed. I would have bought this book if Aletha did this one thing. How about his parents bought her off? How about his parents threatened her? It still would have been paper thin because the grandma existed. But if the grandparents had threatened her in some way, and they're like, you're not going to get in the way of his education, we're going to, or they bribed her somehow. And she's like, well, he doesn't really want to live here anyway, so I'll go along with it. It still would have been paper thin, but it would have been something. This was literally just her being like, oh, he doesn't want to live in this small town. Well, maybe he didn't. Maybe he wasn't going to live there, but he deserved shared custody of his kids.
That's his choice to make.
Yeah, he gets to decide. Maybe he doesn't want you. Maybe, bitch, he doesn't want you.
He can choose to be in that child's life on a different level or just financially provide for it.
So, like, and not to get into other things, if you chose to keep the kid when the kid is half somebody else's, that person gets a say. All right? Even if people want to say the body autonomy choice. Well, you made the choice to keep the child. That is half someone else's. So half of that child.
Well, I don't understand, even in like real life, women who are like, oh, I don't want anything from you. It's like, I'm sorry. Children are fucking expensive. I want your money at least. At the bare minimum.
Deserves it.
You helped make it. You helped pay for it.
The only person she hurt in this whole situation was that kid. That's the only person that she's hurting. She can say, oh, this is hard being a single mom. she
But
did
it wasn't
hurt him
for her.
sure.
It wasn't hard at all because she
No,
had
not really.
so
But
much
like
support.
what I'm saying, like an overall umbrella thing, it wasn't hard. She had like a easiest walk in the park single mom thing I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. Let's just be honest about it, okay?
Yeah.
That's the easiest single mom I've ever seen. But the only person she hurt is her daughter.
Yeah.
It's the only person in these situations that ever actually gets hurt down the road. And
he wasn't a psychopath or a pedophile or a horrible person. He was a dreamboat. He would have been a great dad, or is a great dad. So
yeah. And she made a choice because her heart was broken and it was in a malicious place and it was a vindictive choice. I believe she didn't say it, but her real motive was to get back at him because eventually this was going to come out. Be like, well, you chose never to come back. You didn't fucking tell me, bitch. Like I said, there's no way you can redeem yourself in this. There's none. There's no reason on the face of the planet minus maybe 3, and that's because you were raped. So I wouldn't tell your rapist that you have a child. The person is a convicted felon, pedophile type deal, or they're fucking in jail and they're going to be in jail for the rest of their fucking life because they murdered somebody. They're not a fucking criminal. Like those are the only scenarios where it's like, hey, it's cool to not say. But even then, that's a really gray area because they can still fucking do something legally.
Yeah.
And if it comes down to it, they still, unless they're in jail, they still have fucking rights and they can take your ass to fucking court no matter what. Yeah. You know, they can. So you're still fucked either way. Until you get them to sign off their parental consent, they're stuck with you. You chose to keep the kids, so you're stuck with them. You don't want to be stuck with this person, don't have sex with them.
Yeah.
Straight up. That's what I tell my daughter. I was like, look, if I'm gonna tell you, if you ever become sexually active, if you don't want to be tied to this person for the rest of your fucking life,
don't
say no, use protection. Because I'm telling you right now, no sex is worth that fucking bullet. It's not.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's not. So when you choose to be with somebody, make sure that you understand that you could possibly be with this person for the rest of your life because something could happen.
Let's not call the baby a bullet, Jackie. Let's not call the baby a bullet. I know what you meant.
Yeah, you know, like
you don't want the responsibility for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you don't. Like, unless
if you have kids with somebody, you're going to be tied to them some way for the rest.
Yeah. Exactly. And then you better hope that they're as wonderful as this dude is.
Yeah.
You know, and again, that's why I come back to like why I did DNF is because I figured he would be great because he was great from the beginning. Like, there's nothing wrong with the person who's your fuck buddy in the small town when you guys haven't fully established something more. There's nothing wrong with that. But he still deserved to know, and maybe he then would have been around. You know, I absolutely believe he would have been around and would have made that a part of his life. But you thought you would make the choice for him. And the fact that he like doesn't get vindictive about it and like take her to court when he has millions of dollars on his side and could have done it just proves that he's
another testament to his character.
Yeah. And so, you know, I hope that child, you're lucky she's not old enough to really be spiteful against you and that you found out when he was young. Because I mean, seriously, if I was
when she called him daddy in the book, I got a little tug in my heart. I was like, oh, that's so sweet.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, like, it's like for me,
he was the redeeming character in this book. Yeah. I read it for him and this little girl.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. So the other reason I DNF'd is I was like, this isn't a romance anymore because she's a villain. Not that I don't like villain romance, but like I would have read it for him if I wouldn't have been so angry because I was like, I would finish this and I was like, this is a 2-star book immediately when you don't have a good, because it's also lazy to me. That's the thing. An author wants the drama of a secret baby, but they didn't have a better reason for it to happen. They're just like skip 5 years and they're like, oh, I just didn't tell him. So then her reasons to backfill that are shit. So then I'm like, you just wrote a lazy ass book because you can make Secret Baby work. One of my favorite books this year, Reckless by Elsie Silver, has Secret Baby. And the reasons for that are kind of paper thin, but they also work because the scenario, it worked for me. And it also doesn't take 5 years. It only takes a year before someone's finding out. So it's different. But yeah, like nobody threatened her. No one coerced her. No one told her what to do. So I was like, your name is mud to me. You and are nothing. And the grandma.
Yeah, when she said she had no qualms about telling the grandmother because she couldn't have the grandmother stay away from Molly, the little girl. She's like, oh, I couldn't keep the grandmother away from. I'm like, I'm sorry. What?
Yeah.
What? Okay. What went through your head that made you think the grandmother was ever going to choose you over over her grandson. For one, what fucking planet are you living on that you thought that this happened? And then she actually listens to you and says, oh yeah, I won't tell him. Are you fucking kidding me? Get fucked, lady. No, you deserve to
the
die
amount of
alone.
support
And I'm
this
glad you
girl
fucking
has
did.
is unparalleled.
But then it kind of is like, because the way that I was reading it in the beginning, and maybe this played out different, it felt like the grandma set it up so that they would have to meet again, you know, because she makes him the executor of her will or whatever.
Mhm.
So that when she dies, she's like, oh, they'll meet up now. He'll have to.
Oh yeah, she was like
They
matchmaking
do,
from the
because
dead.
she leaves like pictures of her with the daughter in a shoebox in her closet, and then he goes to their house.
Yeah.
And that's how he finds out he has a daughter, is he finds these photographs and he's like, oh, I met this girl previously. Why is she with my grandmother in all these pictures? And oh, she looks like me. Ding, ding, ding. Connect the dots.
Yeah, and
And he finds
everybody
out.
on the town was all in on keeping her a secret, like especially the brother. He was being a total dick to the guy for no reason.
Right.
Like, why are
and
you
the
being a
brother
fucking
was.
asshole?
Yeah.
He just said
Why-
I loved you, and I think the guy genuinely did love her.
Like,
They just-
my parents wouldn't be okay with that. Like, my
No.
parents would reach out to the person because they would be like, you can't keep this a secret, baby. And also, he's a millionaire. Why don't you want your daughter to have a millionaire debt? Like, even just the financial support of it.
Because
of
my
like,
God, this woman was dead set on she did not want his money.
God, it's such
She
Yeah,
a
she
didn't
wanted to
want
run
a
her own
penny from
business.
him. And I'm just thinking,
well,
babe,
guess what,
why
bitch?
not?
It's not your money. That's what I would say. I'd be like, it's not your money. It's your daughter's. So shut up. Shut up. It's not your money. It's your kids.
Mhm.
Stop. It's not for you. He can put every penny in an account that's for her, and that's not your damn right to choose that. Like, it's just not your right. Oh, fuck it. I hate it so much.
Yeah, there no redeeming.
Okay. He had redeeming qualities. She did not.
Well, yeah, he was fine.
But for
I
me,
did not like her. I liked him. I was there for him and the girl. And, yeah.
this would
And
have
that's what made me like it, was him and the little girl.
and the dad just getting to live their
They
life
made me
together.
like it.
And they can go have their own romance that is a single dad romance. That's what I would like.
Yeah.
I would like another one, because here's the thing. Again, I come back to, she's the villain of this.
Mhm.
Her character is exactly the character in another book that a single dad was lied to, and he doesn't trust women anymore because someone backstabbed him and hid his kid from him. She's
Yep.
literally the villain in any other book we read, because she kept it a secret. But because the whole town loves and supports her and is like giving him the stink eye, like somehow she's the heroine of this. And I was like, in any other story, she's the bitter ex who like got herself pregnant because she wanted to keep him, and because he didn't want to stay, she kept his kid a secret. That is literally the synopsis of another book.
Yeah.
And he finally gets custody of his kid and then moves across the country to get away from the psycho ex. That is the story anywhere else.
She must be really good in bed. That's all I got to say.
You know, when I started listening to this book, because I listened to it, I got the audiobook because I had a credit,
was
and I
enjoying
listened to the
the audiobook.
audiobook. I like the guys. Okay, I'll
return it.
I'll be honest. I listened to this on 1.5 speed on her voice, and then I listened to it on 1.2 speed with his voice because I liked his voice better.
He had good narrators.
That's
That's why I was enjoying it.
Yeah,
Damn it.
they did have good narrators, and it started off kind of good. You know, they had the little backstory of losing their virginity. I thought that was really sweet, and then this kind of back and forth, and then we get introduced to this kid named Molly, and then we find out it's her daughter. I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Why didn't you? And then they tell me the reason, and I like it, and I'm sitting there, just like, and I'm fucking done. I'm done.
That
I'm done
Jackie,
now.
you're literally acting myself back to me. That is literally what was happening. Because I was like, they do it. I liked the stuff like with his grandpa's funeral and them comforting each other, their first like time together. Like, it was all really sweet. I was like, oh, this is so cute. And then I was like, oh, what's gonna happen? Because I knew this was Secret Baby. So I was like, oh, what's gonna happen? Why isn't she gonna tell him?
Mhm.
And then it skips ahead. And I'm like, it seems like she doesn't have a reason. Are you going to tell me? And so I kept waiting for the reason. And then she has her monologue about her reason. And I'm like, oh, you're just a cunt.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm done now. So, yeah.
Peace. Deuces.
Anyway, I don't have much good stuff. I don't know. That's about it for me. I didn't rate it, but it was going to be a 2-star if I would have finished it, and I just didn't. So, no worries.
I'm not the biggest fan of Surprise Baby because every Surprise Baby I read, the
Secret Baby.
Secret Baby, yeah, Secret, not Surprise Baby, Secret Baby. The reasoning never seems to justify not telling. It, at least the ones I have read, which is not a lot. I have not read a lot of them because I tend to try to stay away from this one because of this. Because I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, there's no fucking reason why they shouldn't know.
Yeah.
There's no reason unless they're in fucking jail or a criminal or they fucking raped you. Because no.
I've read a couple good Mafia ones. I'll have to tell you the Mafia one I love. There's a Mafia one for me that's 5 stars because it's literally that.
Well, I'm looking forward to the Elsie Silver one.
And he's gonna kill someone. And then she's like, nope. And she runs away. And I was like, you go, girl. You run. You run, girl. I was like,
well, I'm looking forward to the Elsie Silver one, but because it is a secret baby, I'm just kind of like, but I really liked Elsie Silver's writing. So I'm like, maybe she'll work it out.
It worked for some, it worked for me. It didn't work for somebody. It worked for me. But, and then there's also the other scenario of like, you don't know the person's name because it's one night stand. That's the other scenarios that it works for me. Because I
can see that working.
That's kind of makes sense for me though. Like
it's a Helena Hunting that he's using a fake name because he's a celebrity and they have a one night stand. And then he has to leave because his brother's in the hospital. So he doesn't leave for any other reason than like, he liked this girl, he wanted her, but he'd given her a fake name and he didn't give her his phone number because he rushes out of there because his brother's in the hospital. And then she sees him 2 years later and she's like, oh God, I have to tell him that we had a baby. Because she didn't know. She doesn't watch hockey and she didn't have his real name. And I was like, oh, this is horrible. Anyway, sorry, side note. But those are the scenarios it works for me, is he's either evil or you don't have his contact information. Those are the only times.
Getting played. I think it's getting played. It's a secret baby. And but it was a one night stand. It was a one night stand and they didn't have they didn't share contact information.
I get that one. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, all right, I get it.
And then
I understand that, but at the same time, she did justify it. She said, I tried to find him. She went back to that bar. She looked at the band that he was. She tried to locate him. And I'm like, okay, we saw that in the book. That's fine, cool, awesome.
And she also, in that one too, she's like still pregnant. And it's not like she's completely given up. She's just like, she already had a kid. Now she's having another kid.
Yeah.
So that one too, you're just like, okay, she's probably will try again too when, anyway.
But like, that makes sense. But just straight up, he told me he loved me and then never called me back. And I never made an attempt to do it either.
I don't want to force him to be here if he doesn't want to. And I'm like, you wouldn't
be forcing him. It's his choice if he wants to stay or not, but you took it away from him.
Ask him to sign away his rights if he's not interested. But
that's along the lines of the guys in books who are all like, I can't tell you I love you because I don't want you to choose between me and this other. It's like, that is my right to choose.
Yep.
I'm a grown-ass adult. Whatever choice I make is my choice to make.
Again, that's always the author couldn't get creative enough.
Or they're not just not creative enough, or they don't know how to, they don't believe in themselves enough to write that argument from in a secret baby. 9 times it's gonna be the female, it's the villain. Like if the reason is not justified, she's gonna be looked as the eyes of the villain, straight up. And in romance books, women don't want to relate to be the villain in the book. They want to, so I understand they don't want to have to figure out how to write that. If she would have gone that way and actually wrote this fucking drag out fight, and this woman blatantly said, yeah, I fucked the fuck up.
Yeah.
That might have saved her a little bit because she owned her mistake and it was laid out and she went through the fucking gauntlet and she went through it and then came out like, yeah, I made a mistake, and she had to grow, and she never does.
Yeah. Well, because then it'd be like, and then it just went too far and then I was afraid of how you'd react. Like, there are ways to do it. But what absolutely puts a spear through this whole thing is the fucking grandma. Yeah. I will never get over this grandma. Like, even the town, because the town could be like, it's none of our business. I mean, I still have been like, thanks people in this town that I knew through my childhood who just like,
but grandma made that stupid stipulation where he had to work 2 days in the shop. What the fuck is that going to do? Yeah. Work 2 days in the shop with her?
Yeah. Grandma was she was Cupid reincarnated.
I would have been like, y'all have to live together for like 3 months. Not
Right.
work together for 2 fucking days.
I mean, I don't know. Like it made me miss my own grandma. That's what it made me miss. It made me miss my grandma. That's what it did, because I was like, my grandma would never lie to me about something like that, And like I said, it just hurt me because like my grandma didn't get to know her great grandchild and wrote letters to her that had to be delivered after she was dead because of a cunt of a mother who wouldn't have let us know about it. So that's my secret baby is my Rhoda Ho, man. And I
don't think I've read a secret baby that I've ever loved.
Yeah.
I can give 3 stars, but don't think I've ever read any where I'm just obsessed with it,
Sure.
See, they're all stupid.
Because this was kind of why, I know we had talked about this a few months back. It's why I love surprise babies. I love surprise babies. I love oopsie babies when there's the one night stand at the beginning and then they're telling someone to. I love those because I love babies in books. I know not everybody does. I just don't like secret babies, because what I love is I love the awkwardness of we had a one night stand and now we're stuck together, because it's a forced proximity in sake of a child. So I love those. I love when it's a one night oopsie and you might have thought this person was hot to fuck, but are we going to work? Are we going to try to be together? Are we just going to do it for the baby? I love when
both people know.
Right. Yeah. And within the she's telling him right away, even if it's awkward. And so she might still come forward with you don't have to do anything, but you can be involved. And then he's like, heck yes, I want to be involved. I want to do all the stuff. That is what I love to read.
You give them the option. You don't have to be a part of it if you don't. Bullshit. Be a part of it. You made it. You be a part of it. I will never understand that.
A lot of
especially if the guy is a good fucking guy. Why would that even be an option?
But Becky, in books, it's not the not be involved. Of course, in a romances, they're gonna choose to be involved. If they're the hero, they're gonna choose to be involved. My point is that when they have the conversation where she tells him, she'll say you can be as involved as you want. I'm not expecting you to be with me. That's what I like in the conversation. I've never read a romance where I've liked it and the hero's been no, I don't want to be involved. He's the hero of the book. He's always going to go heck yes, I want to be involved. I want to do it. That's why we're reading a romance novel that's a surprise baby. Mm-hmm. But that's the conversation that needs to happen, is her being hey, I just found out literally 2 days ago and I'm coming to tell you. Not the ones where they're trying to hide their pregnancy because they're afraid they'll know, or they keep it a secret for whatever. No, it's one of the perfect examples of this. Both of you have to read this book, Out on a Limb by Helena Bonham Young, which so many people have talked about because they both have disabilities.
I want to read that.
Gosh, that one's fantastic because the way they honestly don't know. They both have a different disability. They both have reasons why they're nervous to have a kid, but he didn't know he can have kids. I'm not going to spoil it because I want you guys to read it, but he didn't know he could have kids. So this surprise baby is the best surprise of his life, because he's oh my God, he's crying when she tells him she's pregnant and they've only met each other once, and it's beautiful. I was this book's going to be good. I don't even care how the rest of it plays out. This is what I want to see. So anyway, it's why also secret baby annoys me even more, because every secret baby for me could have been a surprise baby where you tell. And when they choose secret and there's not a good reason, I'm you could have told him, and maybe you aren't together right away, but maybe, he gets to keep coming back, to be there and get to see his daughter grow up. And instead you were a thief. You stole it from him, and you were a liar because you went to him.
Quintessential
there you
moments.
go. That's the reason right there. That's the reason.
He stole those quintessential moments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, it is the lying thing. That is when it comes right down to it. I don't fucking like liars. I don't like it. I have, okay. So TMI, I have 5 rules. I have 5 rules when I start a relationship. First fucking date. I don't know how many first days I've had, but I've done this. I got 5 rules. Don't lie to me. Don't cheat on me. Don't hit me unless I ask you to. Never stop trying to win me over. And the 5th one I reserve for you personally, because everybody has their things. Number 1 is do not fucking lie to me. It pisses me off. I mean, white lies, big lies. Don't fucking do it. Just don't fucking lie to me, because it insults my intelligence and it pisses me off. And I have zero give a shit about you anymore. I'm fuck off. You lied to me about something stupid. And that's what this girl did. She lied. Did she actually say the question, do you have a child? And she say, no, that never happened. But this is not just a lie of omission. This is straight up, I am hiding shit. I got my brother to hide this kid to try to
The whole
deter you
time.
not being here. The whole fucking town, your grandmother, she went out of her fucking way to hide this.
Yep. And
So
I
I
mean,
feel like
again,
if
that
she
comes
straight
back
up
to like,
asked, she would have lied.
I feel like he has parents too. We don't,
Yep.
Becky, do we see his parents do anything?
Yeah,
more?
and they are very accepting of their. Well, his dad has sort of reservations about
Right.
it, but he
Oh,
comes around. But his mom is
same.
like, I can't wait to meet her.
Right. So it's like, I mean, because from what I saw too, it's not like his parents were even against this girl. You know, from what they, you know,
I don't think they even ever met her because
Right.
they sent him to his grandparents' house.
Right. But again,
And I think the only time they met was at his grandpa and his grandma's funeral.
Yeah.
I think
So,
she said
but
a
again,
point
that's
where
my point.
they didn't like. It's not they didn't like her; they just didn't want him with her. She was a summer fling because they got pissed off when he left the funeral and thought it was disrespectful to leave the funeral to go deal with summer flings.
Right.
And that's when he's like, "You're not a summer fling to me. I love you."
Yeah.
You know.
Which again, though, that doesn't make his parents evil or enough of a reason not to tell them about their grandkid. Like, that's what it just comes back to for me. It's like, you know, and again, like as she grew older, she should have had those realizations. It's the fact for me that it's been the 6 years and she hasn't changed her mind at all.
Yeah.
You know, there's no show to, well, and again, up to where I read, this is me all speaking, there's no show of in her reasoning of like of guilt or that it was hard not to tell him. It was all, that's why I think you're right, Jackie. Like it was kind of like, I'm going to get back at him. He didn't love me. Well, he doesn't get a no. And I'm like, obviously I could just talk in circles with this. I was so pissed when I read it. I ranted to like,
I always think about like these secret babies. I'm like, what happened? Because I've read a book like this. Is somebody had a baby and that child had like a sickness or disease and they needed like a blood donor.
Yeah.
And so this woman had to reach out to the father and be like, hey, you have this kid. She needs.
I feel like I've read
He was a donor. And then that was their romance again. But it's like, do you not think about those things? Like, what if?
No, because they're being vindictive and they're
going
using
to
a
have
goddamn
to tell
chess
somebody.
piece. They're fucking a kid. The kid's a fucking piece on a board. That's all they're thinking about. They're not thinking about what actually is going to happen to this kid. What's going to go down.
I think that's why I don't have children. Is because I think like so far in advance. I'm like, what if? So I'm like, nope. I don't even want. I want to deal with all those what ifs. I ain't having it at all.
Yeah.
And here's the thing with the romance. Okay, say the kid never even fucking happened. All right, we're gonna take the kid out of the equation entirely. He says I love you and never calls back. She still made no attempt to ever contact him again.
She never called him.
Yeah, she never called him. She never
wrote
went after
texts
him.
that she deleted.
Yeah, he asked her 3 times. 3 times coming back. Come to IU, I think is the university, Indiana University or something. Come to IU. He wanted her there. He made the attempt to like, I want you there. Come here with me. There's more job opportunities. Da, da, da. One time she says, I can't because my dad just had a heart attack. He's like, well, why didn't you tell me? It's like, what were you going to do? Come hold my hand? Yes, I was going to come fucking hold your hand. He made the attempts to bring her into his world because he knew his path was not fucking here. Yeah. And 6 years down the road, say the kid never happened. She's still fucking there. Her dad's fine. Quit drinking. His heart's fucking great. She still didn't go after him.
She's the one who's unwilling to change her life.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
She's the villain. Okay, she's the villain. Yeah. No.
Well, and even once he tells her, he still has his job in Chicago. So what does he do? He takes off and he does his job in Chicago. And on the weekends, he comes back and sees his kid.
Yeah.
And then he gets tired of doing that and he realizes he wants to spend more time with his kid.
Yeah.
And that was his choice.
He should have sued for custody and brought his kid to Chicago because that woman doesn't deserve her kid. I'm just feeling vindictive now, but I'm just,
I get it.
You got her for 6 years. Like, you should be the one to come. And you know what? He's got the money and the lawyers. He could have done that. Yeah. He should be licking his fucking boots.
But he is too good of a guy. He is too.
And the brother needed to get his ass handed to him for that one because that was just being a dick for no reason. You're gonna sign the papers. I don't have to fucking do shit, asshole. It's my. I'm the inheritor. Fuck off.
Well, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. I'm also like with the brother. I'm like, did you not see how this played out at all? Like, you don't have any problems that your sister didn't do it. That's just the whole thing. I was like, the whole fucking town was delusional. The whole town was delusional for it because, I don't know. I wouldn't have kept
Do
that
they
a
ever
secret.
say what she tells them, how it ended? Does she ever explain to the town? Because so far to the point I'm at, she's never actually
I think
explained what really
I think
happened
she
to
tells
the
like her
towns.
brother he didn't know. But as for the whole town, I don't. I
They
think
just
they all
always
just
do that.
knew.
They just
They all
assumed that
knew
the
he
guy
didn't know, and they
flaked on
still
him.
just like I don't know how this girl had so many friends. Why they
Right.
all
Like
liked
you
her
said,
so damn much.
nobody secretly wanted to be with him and wanted to get back.
Right?
at
That's
him.
what I was thinking. I was like, this girl ain't got one enemy or one person who doesn't like her enough to be spilling the beans. No one?
She was a Mary Sue. What can I say?
This small town is Hallmark level fantastic.
All it needs is a Christmas shop, right?
Yeah.
Which is probably the shop she worked at. Let's be honest.
It's the antique store.
It's the antique store.
The antique
So-
store that his grandma left her.
Okay,
Yeah.
Literally
so
a fucking Hallmark movie.
we all understand that the secret baby did not work
No,
in
it
this
did
fucking
not
book at
work.
all. But
Yeah.
what about the smut in this book? Because we got it in chapter fucking 1.
Yeah.
Chapter 1, we got a sex scene. Granted, it was an awkward, weird scene. What did you guys think?
I love, okay, so, because I was
Really
into
good
this book
too, I
for a
think.
weird reason. So I actually enjoy awkward virgin sex, especially if the guy's doing a good job with it and being very attentive. So, like, I thought it was sweet. Like I said, I thought they were sweet. I just needed to know what her problem was. So I thought it was okay. I don't know how their adult scenes were, so Becky, you'll have to say. But, like, I thought it was cute. It was a cute start to their...
They were cute. They were fine. They weren't anything memorable. Although I will say, sex in the hay,
Oh, yeah.
Gross.
no. That shit itches.
Gross.
It is not soft, despite what this author says. Oh, I fell into the soft hay. No.
No.
That
Hay
shit's
ain't soft hay.
scratchy.
And not on your ass. No.
No. Hay
Tell me
be
you've never been in
scratchy,
a hayloft without telling
and
me.
you'll be leaving there with rashes.
What was that,
You
Jen?
gotta put down the. Tell me you've never been in a hayloft without telling me you've never been in a hayloft. Okay, there is no form of hay or bales that are comfy without putting something down. Like, you gotta put the horse blanket down at least.
They didn't even do that. They just fell in the hay, and it was
I
so
know.
soft.
Like, that ain't.
They literally rolled in the hay.
Yeah, they literally.
The
I think
people
this author
rolling in
took
the
rolled
hay.
in the hay and was like, went with it.
Like, there are kinds of hay that are softer than others. Like, if it was straw hay, oh boy, you're gonna get impaled. Those are sharp ass things, man. I've fallen between two hay bales when I was a kid, and it scraped my legs wrong because it's so, like, when it's really, really dry stuff, it hurts. Okay,
Gross.
You're putting a blanket down.
All the hay I've been in as a kid,
Yeah.
was prickly, and
Yes.
I always had rashes because I was always playing around in the hay bales in a dress. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I personally like the awkward scene where she like stops and he's like, "Did I hurt you? No, but I was about to come." That's kind of the fucking point. I was like, I like that. I was very happy when I saw the author do that because virgin scenes, I don't like them to be perfect. I don't like them to be they're experts. I like the fact that he's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I hope I'm doing this right. And then she's like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I enjoyed that. I had this felt like it had promised to me. At that moment, I was like, okay, she's being authentic, and then she goes and does this. But to her defense, she was still being authentic because there are still bitches that do this shit. So she was not being authentic. I mean, she was still being authentic, just in kind of a shitty kind of way.
Someone wanted to bring up too, and I believe someone said this too, that like hasn't she not been with anyone else the whole time either?
Yeah, she's only been with him.
Yeah.
And he was been with like one other person before he got her pregnant.
Yeah. And he hasn't been with anyone since her.
oh, I think they made like a reference to that in the book or something. He said like, she said he's the best I've ever had, or it just keeps getting better time after time. I'm thinking, well, yeah, you've only done it once with her. Of course, it's gonna get.
Yeah.
Well, they did it more than once because there's virgin time, and then when he comes back,
No, but I think it was their second time where he was like, "Oh, it just keeps getting better."
right?
I'm like,
Well, that's
obviously.
what happens when you practice.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I hope so. If it got
Yeah.
worse,
Ouch. Got some bad advice.
yeah, no, well, that's why I said I was having a good time. It all depended on what the reason was because it was perfectly cute. I love an awkward virgin scene too. They're some of my favorites.
The sex scene that led to the pregnancy, I also enjoyed that one because the awkwardness of like, I don't have a condom. I was not thinking about bringing a condom to a funeral, so I don't have one. And she's like, I'm on the pill. And he was like, why are you on the pill? Who have you been with? Like, I kind of like that. He's like, no, I'm actually clean, everything, because I know people have had those same conversations, and there's like, well, I'm on the pill, but you have a condom. You say you're clean. I trust you. Okay, let's go for it. Let's play Russian roulette here. And it sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. This time it didn't work.
Yeah.
So.
I just always want to encourage people that the percentage of the pill working is stronger than it is in romance novels.
Yes.
It just basically, if she says she's on the pill in a romance novel, like just assume she's getting pregnant. You need to use a condom anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's never working.
Especially if she gets sick right after and has to take antibiotics, and then you're like, well, shit.
Okay.
You're going to get pregnant.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I don't know. Because I had that conversation with my friend, and I was like, maybe I don't need to be as paranoid for her as I am for people in romance novels. She's taking her pill.
I want to know what she told her parents, because I remember hearing saying, my parents were completely on board. They were right there with me. I'm like, what the fuck did you tell your parents that it made them okay with you not telling the father?
Right.
So when they know that you have a thing for and you've been with since you were a child, like they know this. They know what kind of man he is. They knew him growing up. It's not like he was some fucking random stranger.
And again, they know his grandma.
Yeah, I'm like, what did you tell these people to make them believe that this cock and bull story is legit?
All right, we gotta wrap up bitching about this one. I enjoy it. It felt good to get it out of my soul. But let's move. Do we have any questions left? What else do we want to say?
Final thoughts and takeaways.
My takeaways are the same as always. Secret Baby is a 1 in 10 scenario for me that it works. But of all the scenarios, this is literally the one for me that never works. And every single thing in a Secret Baby that never works was in this one. And I just think it's stupid. I think it's lazy storytelling. And honestly, like, the people who are like just okay with it, that are just like, oh, it's fine that she did it. I'm like, you've never had someone in your life like struggle with the baby before, because it's just unacceptable. And it loses all credibility for the person who does it, which is always the woman. And like, who wants to read the romance when you hate half of the couple, you know? Because then your hero can only bring you up so far, can only bring you to a 3-star, because he can be fantastic. But if he's with a cunt, then he ain't that smart of a guy, because
nope.
Like, if she would lie to you about this, she would lie to you about anything. That's what I come back to. She would lie to you about your baby. So those are my takeaways. Secret Baby, authors who might stumble across it, think really hard about if you want to make it a secret baby. Like, just if you think you want to do the trope, think Secret Baby.
Let's make it a surprise.
Yeah, make it a surprise.
Make it a secret.
Because what would this have been like if he comes back to town for his grandma's funeral and she had set up for them to be together and they sleep together and they get pregnant in the present time? That's the kind of, like, then that could have been a surprise baby of, like, they have this like final thing together when he comes to be the executor of the will and she gets pregnant then. Then this story could have worked for me.
Probably, yeah.
They could have had some like animosity going because he has to come back to the store and she's been here the whole time and she feels hurt by him that he never like came back again. But you weren't keeping this huge lie from him the whole time. And I don't know. A surprise baby always works better, in my opinion, than a secret baby does. So.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah. Those are pretty much my takeaways too. Those are my takeaways. Yeah.
Becky, thank you.
Okay, so next month, let me bring up the books for next month because I don't remember off the top of my head what they are.
Restore and
yeah, I think that's what they were. Open. Here it is. Reading schedule.
Oh,
all right. September, people. We're in September. Holy shit. Revival by Terry Kay. This is a divorced heroine and he's starting over. And then Secrets by A.R. Hall. Great. Second Chance, Bodyguard, Workplace Romance, and Divorced Heroine. So we have 2 divorced heroines next month.
Ooh, Bodyguard. That is
and
one
Bodyguard.
of my favorite things.
And Second Chance. So, and we already decided, Jen, that the show was going to be on the 29th?
Yep.
Yep, 29th. But we were going to be doing it later in the evening I have a football game to go to. So I think we said what, 8:30?
I mean, we can do 8. I haven't made the art yet. Like,
Do you want to do 8
as
o'clock?
early as you can.
Yeah, I can do 8. Becky, are you cool with 9 o'clock? Or are you gonna be sleeps?
I may be skipping next month because my ass is not going to be awake at 9 o'clock. I think I'll skip next month.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll tune into y'all's live show as I'm laying in bed.
Okay. If you
Yeah.
change your mind, let us know.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
Just be in the dark screen for a little bit. Yeah,
8:30 is like,
the-
I'm always like, 8:30, good grief. All right, well, it's not 9, I can pop on.
Yeah, so it'll be the 29th, which is the last Friday of the month, at 8 o'clock Central Time, or 8:30. Which one? 8?
Yeah.
Okay. 8
You're the
o'clock
one who
Central
has to
Time.
go somewhere. I would rather it be earlier. So as early as you can go, we'll go. So
Okay.
whenever you're back.
I think 8 o'clock should be fine. The game's only 45 minutes away from us, so, and it starts at 6, and I don't have to stay. If they're fucking losing, I'm gonna leave. So it's the high school football game, so.
All right.
Yeah, but that's what we got. Thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you next month with Revival and Secrets. And we are almost done with this readathon. We're almost done with it.
We still have 9 books. Let's not get too excited.
That's what you said last month,
Yeah.
Jackie.
September through November, December.
Almost done with it. It's almost like you're ready to be done with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad September. Like, and this month it is. Anyone even watch? Is anyone watching? Does anyone love us?
There's 5 people still watching. They didn't
One of them
comment.
is me.
Yeah. Thanks for
One of them
watching.
is
I'm watching it on my phone. I just tune in to give you a view, Jackie.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Oh, some people will watch it later.
Yeah.
It
We
is
tend to get a lot of people watching these
holiday
later,
weekend.
though. We do.
It's also a holiday weekend, so
Yes. Yeah.
like,
But I get to go film my TBR and film a video with my husband.
oh, that's fun.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be an interesting experience.
Yeah.
So, all right. Bye. I'm going to go unlive.
Yeah.
Go
Go
I'm gonna
unalive
log off
yourself.
now.
Yeah.
Ending broadcast. And